Hey guys, Internet.TV here, and welcome to a tutorial video. For this project, you're going to need a flower loom. You're also going to need a knitting hook, a yarn needle, piece of paper, just piece of paper, black yarn, white yarn, red yarn, and also scissors. The most important part is fluff or cotton balls. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make a slip knot, and you're going to want to put it on the first peg on the outer side of your flower loom. Nice and tight. So when you do this, you're going to wrap around each of the pegs once. This will create your first row. And if you push this down, this will also help you create your second row. Repeat the same exact step, but you're going to create a second row. Now that you have your second row all nice and done, it should look something like this. You want to wrap the excess yarn around the base peg and take your hook and take the first row and put it over the second row. If you're used to knitting, then you know how this works. If you are a beginner or a noob, then it's very easy to learn. Second row, you're going to want to do another row of this way you create a second chain. Now I advise doing 2 chains instead of 3, because 3 would make it look not very circle-like. And this is what you should get after your second chain. Now you're going to want to undo your slip knot from the first peg, and it might be a little tight. And this is so as you continue on knitting, it's not going to get stuck. Now you're going to want to take your red yarn. I advise using thicker yarn for this, but hey, this is all I have. And you're going to want to tie it to the black yarn. Now you're going to want to tie it to the piece that you tied to the first peg with the slip knot. Black yarn, you're going to wrap it around each and every peg. This will start your first chain with your red. Now you're going to want to do the same thing as you did for the black, and just repeat this step. times, plus maybe 1 or 2 extra. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your yarn and wrap it 1 time fully around your flower loom. Now this is just for my advisory because now you're going to cut the yarn and we're going to cinch up the end of what you've created. Now you're going to want to take that piece of paper and just fold it in half. And this will help you get your piece of yarn through your yarn needle, because yarn is very hard to thread. So just put your yarn inside the paper, and then put the paper in the yarn needle. Now you're going to want to take your needle and through every single loop that's on every peg, you're going to want to put that needle through the loop and then pull off the yarn that's on the peg. Now this might seem a little hard to understand because I know it took me a while to figure that out, but trust me, once you get used to it, they'll be like flying off the peg. Should come off. If it doesn't look like this, then you might have messed up somewhere within your chain. Now you just want to cinch it close. This way it all looks like it's one piece. But to make sure it's secure, you're going to want to sew through, in and out of the top or bottom, whatever you want to call it, of your piece. This will secure it and make sure that the cinching that you did will not come undone. To where you feel like you've done it enough times, you're going to want to tie a knot at the very start of the yarn coming through your piece. Now, cut off the remaining yarn. You're going to take your flower loom again, and you want to take the thing you just created, and you're going to want to take the loops from the bottom of the first chain of black and put it back on the pegs. Now, this is extremely difficult to do, especially with a dark color because you can't see what you're doing. So be extremely careful, otherwise you'll mess up extremely bad. Now you should have something that looks like a flower. And you want to take your white yarn now. Again, I suggest using a fluffier, thicker yarn. But again, I don't have that, so it works. And you're going to want to tie that to the yarn you used for the peg, for the first peg, like the one you did a slip knot for, and tie it to that. steps that you did for both black and red, and you're going to do this all the way around. And you're going to take your yarn hook again and do the same exact thing over and over again until you have at least an 8 to 7 chain. And yes, I messed up with the camera angle, don't judge me. I'm using my phone to record. Now you're going to want to take your scissors, and once you wrap it around once, cut that. Now do the same thing with the paper and the yarn needle, and just pull it through each and every loop. And then once it comes off, you're not going to cinch it close, because now this is kind of when the fun part comes in. It's time to stuff your piece. I'm using cotton balls. I'm not fancy enough to use fluff that you use for teddy bears. So, if you're using cotton balls like me and you want to make it fluffier, just rip apart the cotton ball very nicely. Like, don't tear at it, just like pull it apart. And you're going to want to do this with maybe 3 to 4 cotton balls and then put them all together, and it will be like a piece of carbon fill or whatever you want to call it. Now it's time to cinch your piece close. And repeat what you did for the red part, and you're going to sew it closed. And when you knot it off, just tuck in that little tail that's left over from the white yarn. And I know it doesn't really look like what it's supposed to look like, but roll it in your hands and trust me, it will turn out to look like a Pokeball. You just gotta mess around with the fluffing that's inside. I could have stuffed mine a little bit more, but I didn't. And once you roll it around for a couple minutes, that's what it should look like. Not even a minute. Now you're gonna want to take some black felt, cut it into a circle, and you're gonna want to put some hot glue on the end. Now, if there's a side where your filling is sticking out more on a side, put it on the side that is sticking out more. That way you can cover it. And then we're going to take a smaller white piece of felt and put that directly in the center of the black piece. And let it dry. And now you have your Pokeballs. This one is the remake I did, and this one was the first one I did. I made the button out of yarn. And that's it, guys. Remember to leave a like and a comment down below for suggestions and ideas. Remember, this is not just my channel, this is your channel too. I will see you all later, guys. Bye.